Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Just a few days back, you must have seen reports in the newspapers saying that generals, envoys have met at a hotel in Colombo, and some track to diplomacy is being pursued between India and Pakistan. But just a few days later, what happened? MEA denied all those reports, saying that it holds no value. In fact, the government sources have underlined that track 2 interaction should not be interpreted as an official dialogue. They reiterated New Delhi's position that there is no formal engagement with Pakistan and that terrorism and talks cannot go together. I want to play out that denial by the MEA. Let's listen into what Vikram Misri had to tell the reporters when he was confronted with this question after these reports came out on track 2 diplomacy. Let's hear it.
Sir, a track 2 India-Pakistan dialogue took place in Colombo. There are reports of other such meetings in different parts of the world as well. What do you have to say about this, sir?
Yeah, I've seen the reports. I'm aware of them. And what I would say is that firstly, look, dozens of these kinds of events take place in dozens of places around the world on a whole variety of subjects. So there's nothing new, nothing special about these events. Secondly, as far as we are concerned, these are private events organized by private parties. There's nothing official about them, as far as we are concerned. I mean, obviously, I cannot speak for the government of Pakistan, but as far as the government of India is concerned, there is no official participation, no official support or involvement in these visits. It should be obvious, therefore, that anybody from India who is participating in these events, whether it is retired diplomats, retired military officials, members of civil society, who are all distinguished individuals in their own right, that they, when they participate in such events, they speak for themselves and they represent their own point of view. They do not in any way, they cannot in any way represent the view of the government of India. So that's the other important thing to keep in mind. And thirdly, we really take no cognizance of these events. They really don't hold much value as far as we are concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this was Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri speaking to the reporters who confronted him with this question on track 2 diplomacy as to what is really happening. He dismissed the reports, saying that it holds no value and it cannot be interpreted as an official dialogue. But what has happened today? Now, I'm going to show you a screenshot of the India Today story, which broke this afternoon. And what does that story say? This story says or talks about a joint letter written by the Indian and the Pakistani citizens. And this letter has been addressed to Prime Minister Modi and Shahbaz Sharif. Now, I'll give you the details of this joint letter because it's very, very interesting. After the denial of the MEA comes the next step, where a year after Operation Sindoor, over 100 or rather 117 prominent figures from India and Pakistan, which includes several politicians and public figures, they have jointly appealed to Prime Minister Modi and Pakistani counterpart Shahbaz Sharif to take concrete and sustained steps towards restoring peace, dialogue, and normal bilateral relations between the two countries. Now, what has this group asked for? Now, this group has asked Prime Minister Modi and Shahbaz Sharif to resume the visa services, to revive the confidence-building measures, reinstating the high commissioners in New Delhi and Islamabad, then reopening the airspace for commercial flights, and of course, not to mention the revival of the Srinagar-Muzaffarabad bus service and other cross-border connectivity issues. Now, this letter is very, very interesting because the Indian signatories include people from the National Conference Chief Farooq Abdullah. Then we have Mehbooba Mufti, RJD MP Manoj Yadav, and the separatist leader Mirwaiz Umer Farooq, and also the AJUP leader Humayun Kabir. And on the Pakistani side, if you C. Then you have former Foreign Minister Khurshid Mahmood Kasuri, former diplomat Ashraf Jahangir Qazi, National Assembly member Isfaniar Bhandara, and nuclear physicist and author Parvez Hood Boy. Now, the thing is that first, there are reports of a secret meeting, which is on the track to diplomacy angle, then the denial by the MEA, and then again comes this joint letter on the Indian and the Pakistani side. Now, obviously, it cannot happen in the thin air. There has to be an origin of this track to diplomacy. How did this originate? And people are speculating that it could be Trump's pressure to normalize things between India and Pakistan so that the region is in peace and Trump can claim victory of normalizing relations between India and Pakistan. So, what is the origin of this track to diplomacy? Is it really happening? And can BJP afford to resume dialogue between India and Pakistan? Because involvement of a huge political cost there. Can BJP really afford it at this point of time? Joining me this evening is international affairs expert and diplomat, Professor Aftab Kemal Pasha. Professor Pasha, thank you so much for joining. And want to see a pattern. First come the reports of the track to diplomacy, then the denial by the MEA saying that no, there is no resumption of an official dialogue between India and Pakistan. And today here you have a letter from 117 citizens from India and Pakistan. How did this originate? It can't happen out of nowhere.
Yes, thank you, Neelaji. This is a very significant development, but I think the genesis can be traced to the Operation Sindoor, if not earlier, because you remember President Trump took credit for this ceasefire between the two nuclear giants in South Asia. And he also, in one of the press conferences, mentioned that if it were not for his intervention and the ceasefire, both would have fought a nuclear war and millions would have perished and a loss to the humanity of such bright young men. On those lines, he had said. And he had also expressed his desire to mediate, and he did mention Kashmir as the flashpoint between the two countries, and that needs a resolution. So, and after that, we know that President Trump has taken a liking for General Asim Munir, the military leader in Pakistan, and both had one-to-one meeting over lunch and several other meetings after that, in which President Trump has heaped praise on the general for being smart and carrying out diplomatic initiatives. The recent one, mediation in Islamabad between Iran and the United States over the war Israel and the United States waged since 20th February. So all in all, the United States, which has been backing Pakistan and benefited from Pakistan's mediation, now it is time for the United States to pay back. And Pakistan has been using this nearness with the Americans to raise the issue of Kashmir and the strained relations with India. This is one aspect. That is my guess, that Pakistan is putting pressure on Trump. And Trump himself is attracted to this proposal of mediation, like he claims that he has solved the ceasefire issue on 8 countries' borders. Then the second factor, which is equally important, is the Saudi-Pakistani Defense Alliance, which was signed some time back, and which has been the star attraction in the Gulf region. Because under this agreement, Pakistan has sent a couple of thousand of troops, Pakistani troops, and some fighter jets to the Saudi kingdom as defense. We don't know whether it is to fight Iran or Israel or any other internal upheaval or turmoil within the kingdom. But they say it is for the defense of the Saudi family, Saudi kingdom. And thirdly, Qatar has been speaking aloud on this issue of mediation, but we have rejected that out of hand. Earlier, UAE also tried to mediate. So the Gulf countries are more than anxious to resolve this hostilities between India and Pakistan, because Saudi Arabia primarily sees any eruption of conflict or the Operation Sindoor type.
Could it be pressure from Trump, or could it be pressure from the Gulf countries that this whisper around the resumption of India-Pakistan dialogue has begun?
No, it is a combination of US and Gulf plus the realization here at home, especially from RSS, that BJP's foreign policy regarding Pakistan has reached a dead end. It has become counterproductive, and that because of this hostility with Pakistan and anti-Pakistan foreign policy, India's relations with other countries are also under a cloud, whether it is Gulf countries or China or America or other countries. That is why you have voices coming from within RSS. The number 2 man, Dattarai Hosbale, who, among other things, called for people-to-people dialogue between India and Pakistan and resumption of civilian contacts, trade, commercial activities, and borders, so on and so forth. He said that should be looked into by the government. So he was openly talking about the initiative which RSS wants the BJP government. And in the background of this, you have two developments. That is the Sri Lanka development, where Ram Madhav was there, the RSS.
No, but even before that, even before Ram Madhav and General Naravne meeting all these Pakistani delegates in Colombo, even Dattatreya Hosbale has once espoused the cause of resuming the dialogue between India and Pakistan.
That is what I referred to earlier. I mentioned that Hosbale's point.
Exactly.
You see, earlier, even before Dattara Hosbale and this track 2 in Sri Lanka, there were reports that Ram Madhav has met secretly at least 4 times Pakistani interlocutors, that is known as 1.5 track diplomacy. So Ram Madhav is known because he went to China also at least 4 times during the UPA government, espousing better Indo-Chinese relations. And he is sort of a roving ambassador for RSS. On Kashmir also he went many times. So, and this is followed by more than 100 people which you referred to between the two countries who have written to both the prime ministers. And these are no ordinary people. So there is this realization within the RSS and the civil society and retired generals that both are heading in the wrong direction, and that needs to be corrected because they are paying a very heavy price which others are exploiting, whether it is America or Gulf countries. So better we ourselves take the initiative, and more so because after the Operation Sindoor, when so many parliamentary delegations were sent, the common question everywhere around the world was that, why don't you two countries sit down and solve your problems? Why are you coming here? You say that you don't want outside mediation, but you should start a dialogue between the two countries and resolve your differences if you don't want our mediation, our good officers, so on and so forth. So there was this realization that the entire world was not in favor of supporting India's position. Rather, they were advising that you better talk to your enemy, next door neighbor, and solve your problem through bilateral talks and negotiation. So since then, there has been this realization that India's approach of isolating Pakistan has reached a dead end, and it is not taking us anywhere. And we tried relations with Taliban also, and that is only bringing Pakistan and Iran together because of the Baluch factor insurgency in both the places. So in that way, it has become counterproductive. And now people like former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Farooq Abdullah, he is at the forefront. He is an important personality who has
Yes.
seen the differences between the two countries, how it
Professor Pasha,
impacts.
we've seen two extremes. We've also seen Prime Minister Modi in 2014, how he invited the Pakistan Prime Minister for the swearing in. Then he also very surprisingly landed in Lahore and met Mr. Nawaz Sharif at that point of time. And now we see another extreme because of the terror activities and also because of the kind of narrative which BJP has played out with every opposition. There is a narrative around the Pakistanis. I mean, they're projected as anti-Muslims and the politics around the Muslims. So much of water has flown as far as BJP's politics is concerned. Will it be politically feasible for Prime Minister Modi now to resume dialogue between India and Pakistan?
You see, the fact that you mentioned he has taken initiatives to normalize relations by visiting Pakistan and inviting them to New Delhi, that he can do it like what he has done. Secondly, you see, the BJP government is halfway through its 5-year term. And most state elections are over, except UP, which is coming up, which should not be a very big challenge to the BJP given their track record and what they have been doing with Yogi. So it is time for the BJP government also to take an initiative, if not very big steps like Kashmir or whatever, but small baby steps also they can take, that Kartarpur corridor can be opened, or railway service or bus service, or high commissioners can come, or visa or other consular services at the consulates, at least in Bombay. This can be resumed. So some steps can be taken which might pave the way, or even resuming of overland flights, which is costing both the countries quite a bit, taking very circuitous route in terms of fuel and time and cost, etc. So in that way, there are many options, like the bus service between both the Kashmir parts. All these can be taken up, and the Prime Minister, I think, is in a position to explain to the people that, look, we will benefit. And lastly, I would say that as Sergey, the American ambassador, said, Trump has very good relations equation. He can call up Modi any time of the day or night. And you made a program on that. And Asim Munir also calls up the Americans anytime because of the hotline they have established. So both are very close to the Americans. And now I think is the time to approach the Americans that, look, we have suffered enormously because of this war you inflicted on Iran. And now that you have removed the sanctions on Iran, Iran is exporting oil and gas. Let us buy both the countries' oil and gas from Iran through the Iran-Pakistan-India pipeline, which was floated by Iran long back, and they have completed up to the Pakistani border.
Professor Pasha, I'm just trying to put aside the Epstein Files chapter and then recall what President Donald Trump has said, that I don't want to end Modi's political career. But now the way the situations are evolving, and especially with regards to the resumption of India-Pakistan dialogue, the resumption of India-Pakistan dialogue, actually, politically speaking, will almost be like an end to Modi's career, because he will not be able to flex his political muscles the way he's been doing it in the past. Supposing if the dialogue resumes, will BJP be able to use the bulldozer? Will BJP be able to call Muslims Pakistanis or anti-nationals? I'm sure all of that would stop, or will have to stop, if there is so much of pressure from the Gulf and Donald Trump. So will it not be the resumption of dialogue between India and Pakistan? Will it almost be equal to Modi's political innings coming to an end?
Look, you see, all these things, all these policies, minorities or party, Pakistani, has led India nowhere. We have not benefited except in electoral politics. India has not substantially benefited. It has harmed India's image abroad as a democracy, as a secular country, as a country of rule of law. Everybody is making fun of us. Like I said, after the Operation Sindoor, all the parliamentary delegations were giving lectures that look what you are, what you were, and what you are, and why you are coming here. You go back and put your house in order. This is what the message was given to all the members of parliament who came back disappointed, the negative reaction. So this policy is not, we did our best. Our strategic partner itself is supporting Pakistan, strengthening Pakistan financially, diplomatically, politically, everything apart from China. And Iran also now is ganging up with Pakistan. Saudi Arabia signed a defense treaty. So all our attempts to isolate Pakistan are zero. So in that way, domestic policy also has become counterproductive. The whole world is commenting on the isolation of Muslims and the inclusive policy, which should have been the hallmark of government here. Now it is exclusive. They want to rely only on the Hindu votes, etc. And the way OBC names of Muslim communities in Bengal have been removed, it is shocking there. And in Orissa, what they are doing, even in children's textbooks, or what the Assam Chief Minister says against Muslims, all this is being reported globally. All the newspapers in the Gulf countries, Islamic countries, they are pointing out this venom, hatred, which the government ministers, officials are propagating against Muslims. So this is becoming counterproductive. And in Bangladesh, it has become a very serious matter.
No, sir, but
bilateral
since
no, I'm just 1 minute. So what I'm saying is, you see, Modi's personal foreign policy diplomacy has led us nowhere. And RSS has realized that he has reached a dead end. And I think it is high time a new leader comes at the helm of affairs and reorients India's foreign policy and domestic policy so that what we have lost is regained as soon as possible. So there is this realization that if this continues under Modi, we will be nowhere, and our objectives, achievements will be nullified very soon.
That's what I was asking you, that since the hatred for Muslims is so central to BJP's politics, it's opposing because of the pressure coming in from Trump, and Trump has his own reasons for why he wants the things to normalize between India and Pakistan. Then there could be pressure from Gulf, and if at all Modi visibly will be budging under this pressure, what will it mean for BJP and Modi? It will have to be the end of Muslim hatred. It will have to be the end of the bulldozer justice. It will have to be the end of calling anybody Pakistani. So what else is left in BJP's kitty there?
See, they have tried all this. Now they have concluded that there is no need to sustain this policy because they can do it. Their aim of Hindu Rashtra, once they have power. So they have the power, and there is no need to further sustain these anti-minority policies, which will not get them anything more. So they have the vote bank, and they will sustain that. And I don't think any more votes would come on the basis of anti-Muslim or anti-Pakistani thing. And more important, my own feeling is that, you see, we need a person who looks beyond. No, Modi is too engrossed in the RSS ideology, and his hatred is in his blood of minorities from Gujarat days. We have seen all of these things. So a more moderate leader, I think, would be a healer for domestic policy, and also with a new fresh perspective on the international affairs, which is what most countries want. Look, you see, such a big thing, bricks we have reached a dead end. We are not going anywhere. Even our friends are frustrated at us. China and Russia and South Africa, Brazil. They are frustrated that this Prime Minister is not taking any initiative or allowing them to articulate their point of view. So we are seen as a hindrance.
Professor Pasha, but if this is the state of things, so finally, what are we going to observe? That the MEA like this, like what Mr. Vikram Misri denied, he will continue to deny. They might continue with the track to diplomacy behind the curtains, but on camera, they will never accept that the track to diplomacy is on, unlike in UPA years, because this was a common thing. Aman Ki Asha, if you remember, that was one of the programs during UPA times. Whether a war is there or not, whether skirmishes are there or not, irrespective of all that, the visa services were always on, airspace was always open, Atari Wagah border exchange was always on. It was never stopped. So which means that BJP is just becoming a victim of its own politics. And because of which the track to diplomacy will also suffer, and on camera, officially, they will not be able to ever admit that there is a track to which is still existing between India and Pakistan.
That's what I'm saying. You see, the top decision makers in the RSS have realized that this policy is taking us nowhere. It has reached a dead end. And my own feeling is that sooner than later, this track too will be accepted, both because of domestic reason and our own looking at our own future.
You are saying that Modi will be forced to accept it officially, that the track two between India and Pakistan is on?
He is the best person. He can convince the electorate, he can convince the nation that, look, we have tried everything possible. Let us try this. Why not? Before external pressure mounts and they take the initiative over which we will have no control, it is better if he articulates and tells them that, look, we tried all of these things and we will give one more chance to Pakistan and let us try and see how it works, and then we will decide what needs to be decided.
Absolutely. All right, so we'll have to wait and watch how this track two diplomacy operates, whether officially BJP or Prime Minister Modi admit to that, or they deny it officially and carry it on behind the curtains. That is also something to watch out for. But the big question, again, I'm just floating this question for the viewers, that if at all the dialogue between India and Pakistan resumes, is that going to be the end of Modi's real muscle politics? This is a big question for which answers we'll have to wait. We'll have to keep a close eye on what's going to happen. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha, for joining on HW News. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.